Welcome to the Soulful Success by Design podcast. I'm Kendra Woods, your host, and a former corporate healthcare executive turned entrepreneur. After battling burnout, I discovered the magic of human design. As a 6'2" splenic projector, I am here to lead you on a journey of self-discovery, self-mastery, and unstoppable growth. So join me as we dive into the world of human design, mindset, energetics, and aligned success. We will talk about the highs and the lows of creating soulful and meaningful success in your life and business on your terms. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Hello there, beautiful soul, and welcome back to Soulful Success by Design, the podcast. I'm your host, Kendra, and today we are diving into something that's been lighting a fire in my spirit. I'm in a season right now where my soul just feels alive. My body feels alive. I'm buzzing. I am intentionally bringing joy and movement and just like all these good vibes into my day. And it feels really, really good. And today I want to talk to you about another energy that I'm playing with. And it's this energy of unpredictability. And this is a conversation about energy, about embodiment, and the kind of boldness that collapses timelines and calls miracles forward. Okay. And I'm having a really fun time with this space and this season that I'm in right now because I'm made the choice to let my energy lead, right? To let my energy be the thing that's leading me versus logic. A lot of my conditioning and, my background is very much logical and linear, right? Like I came from this corporate background, grew up with a father who was in the military. And, I grew up being the girl who was like, okay, I got to follow all the rules, being the good girl. Okay. And that felt safe for me for a very, very long time, even into adulthood, obviously, right? Like just feeling like I had like a step-by-step plan or it made sense to my logical mind. That felt safe for me. But what I've learned, what I am learning, is that you can only grow so far operating in that type of way. And so again, letting my energy lead, having fun with it, not taking things so seriously, letting myself show up and to share and talk and riff and speak from my heart, and letting go of this idea that things need to be perfect, letting go of this idea that, if I share what's on my heart or if I talk about what's alive, that people won't get it, like just letting that all go and really stepping into this space of just wild, like freedom. And unpredictability is an energy that is coming up for me lately. And so if you are in a season of becoming, if you're ready to call in new results, new clients, new levels of joy, new levels of wealth, new levels of power, new levels of peace, what I know and what I want to talk to you about today is that you cannot afford to stay predictable. And I want to talk to you about why this is. So here's the thing. I believe that when we're operating from a space of predictability, it keeps us stuck. And a lot of times we don't even realize we're operating from this space of predictability because consciously we are saying that we want something different. You're saying that you want different results, that you want your business to be at a certain level, that you want a particular kind of relationship, that you want new clients, more clients. You're saying all these things consciously, but on a subconscious level, things are still operating in a predictable way, right? And so then that means that consciously you're still operating in a predictable way. Because here's the thing, predictability feels safe. Predictability gives the illusion of control. Remember, I just said a few moments ago, like that was kind of like my MO for a very long time. I was like, all right, if I know what's predictable, if I know all the steps, you give me the formula, you give me the pathway, then I felt like I was in control. Predictability makes you feel like you're doing the quote unquote right thing. But what it's really doing is it's keeping you stuck. Okay, because when you keep moving and showing up in the same way that you always have, saying the same things, playing by the same rules, doing the same rituals, and expecting a new result, you're actually reinforcing the identity that you're trying to outgrow. Okay, so predictability is the energetic signature of stagnation. And what I've seen and witnessed is that we can kind of like pop in and out of this space of predictability and unpredictability. Like maybe you read a book and it lights something up in you and you're like, yeah, like this is, I'm so lit up. I'm going to do things differently. And maybe you start, changing up your behaviors a little bit. You start playing with a new way of thinking. And then something happens, a disruption comes up in your life or in your business, or you don't get the result that you thought that you really wanted to get. And then you revert back, you contract and you revert back into your old way of being. And this pattern continues on and on and on. And so while you make like incremental moves forward, what your heart and your soul is really aching for is like this moment of just like a quantum leap, right? Where you're like, whoa, I have landed in a completely different dimension. I've landed in a completely different way of being. And so, because predictability is the energetic signature of stagnation, it is telling the universe, I'm not actually ready to hold more. I'll just keep like circling here. I'll just keep kind of, expanding and then contracting, expanding and then contracting. And what I want you to know is that the truth is that your next level, your breakthrough, your next level of becoming requires a disruption. And you've heard me talk about my journey with disruption in my life a couple episodes back. And if you haven't, go back and listen to that episode. I think it's episode 8 or 9 of season 2. And but disruption, we can see this as bad and we can paint it as bad and we can paint it as negative, and you'll hear people say like, gosh, one thing after another is just happening. And it feels like so much disruptions going on that your nervous system takes that as things being unsafe and you fall back into contraction. Okay. But your breakthrough and your becoming requires a disruption. So it requires you to become unpredictable to your old self, to surprise even you with how you're showing up, with like who you're being, with how you're choosing to respond to things in a different way. That's where the energy shifts. That's where miracles find their way into you, because it's like instead of you operating in the same predictable pattern, you begin operating in this new pattern. And so the universe and everything around, people around you are going to respond differently because they're like, wait a minute, something's shifting here. She's not showing up how she normally does, or she's not reacting how she normally reacts. So then that means I get to respond to her differently. Right. And this is where you begin to see, new results and new things trickling in. And when that's happening, though, you got to stay open to it. You got to stay open to it, opening your heart. And it really does become like, how can you let yourself just feel how good it is? Right? How long can you allow yourself to keep your energy open, to keep your heart open, to receive the newness that's coming your way? So, what do I mean when I say be unpredictable? Let's break it down. Let's talk about that. Because being unpredictable doesn't mean being erratic. It doesn't mean just, yeah, it doesn't mean being erratic. It doesn't mean that you're just all over the place. It doesn't mean you're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, right? It means choosing to operate from possibility instead of programming. You need to think about that. What would happen if you chose to operate from possibility instead of programming? And let me paint a picture for you, like how this can keep you stuck if you're continuing to operate from programming. You decide that you're going to launch, you want to launch this new offer in your business. And maybe you've been through a season where you've been launching different offers and you haven't really had the launch that you've wanted. Maybe you've had a few people trickle in and you're like, gosh, like I've been putting a lot of energy into these launches and people just are not showing up. So you get to your next launch and a part of you's excited about it. You're like, okay, this is a new offer. It feels good. The energy is great. But then what you do is you fall back into your predictable ways of marketing it because you're operating from programming, and that programming says, well, when I did this last time, I didn't get a whole lot of interest in it. I didn't get the amount of people that I wanted in this offer. And so then you're showing up for it, but your energy isn't really fully open to it. Your energy isn't leading from a place of possibility. It's leading from a place of predictability of what happened in the past. And so unconsciously, you're feeling like, oh, this isn't going to work, but I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to follow through. Maybe I'll show up more. Maybe I will talk about it more. Maybe I'll send more emails. And you fall into that survival matrix of believing that in order to get a different result, you've got to just do more and more and more and more. That's what it looks like to be operating from programming instead of possibility. Possibility is like, okay, you know what? I know what happened in the past. I didn't get the results that I wanted, but that was then. This is now. And I'm in my present moment. And what is possible for me in this launch? Well, it's possible that I completely am shocked and surprised and just delighted by how this launch goes, right? What's possible is that people that saw me launching the offer that I had last month, they see me launching this one and the timing's better for them. So now they say yes and they decide to show up in my space, right? Like it's operating from what's possible. It looks like, saying yes to something that your old self would have talked herself out of. It looks like launching the thing before it's fully ready because you are ready. Like, how many of us have fallen into that loop where you have something you want to launch, your heart's like, let's go, let's do this. And you hold yourself back because you're like, no, like I kind of really, I need to plan out the modules more. I need to know exactly what I'm going to say. I need to know this, I need to know that. You think of all these things that you need to tweak before you're ready. But operating in possibility says, you know what? It's totally possible that this launch can be a complete mind-blowing success, even though some of the back end logistics aren't fully in place yet. I'm ready. So I'm going to let my energy lead. And as I'm moving through this, I'm going to do what I need to do to get things ready. Okay. Operating from possibility is going live when you feel messy and inspired instead of perfectly polished. Okay. It's operating in possibility is trusting a nudge. It's following a pulse and letting life respond to your courage instead of your fear. Think about how exciting that is. What would it look like for life to respond to your courage instead of your fear? That is life changing. That is a completely different experience that you get to walk yourself through when you allow the universe to respond to your courage instead of your fear. It is like stepping off the script. It's letting yourself be unrecognizable in the best possible way. It's power. It's co-creation. And most of all, if you're really being honest, it's fun. It feels fun. You have this like buzzing energy moving through your body and you're like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but this feels really good and it feels fun. Yeah. And here's why this energy changes everything. You want to know where the magic lives? Do you want to know where it lives? It lives in the unexpected. When you break your patterns, you signal to the universe and to everyone around you, you signal to them, oh, she's ready. She's not who she was. Let's go. Let's go. That's when synchronicities start showing up. And I know you've had those experiences where these little synchronicities pop up and you're like, oh, this is interesting. I was just thinking that. And now I'm seeing, someone talking about this. Or I was just thinking about this person. And now, wow, they're calling me or they're showing up. This is when opportunities land in your inbox. It's when the client says, I don't know why, but I just like had to reach out to you. Yeah. This energy changes everything when you decide to live in it. And the magic lives in, in this beautiful space. When you look in the mirror and you realize, I am not her anymore. And it's not about judging like past versions of yourself or shaming it's not about that. It's about looking yourself in the mirror and being like, oh, okay. I can see like I am shifting, I am moving, I am evolving, I am becoming. This is the energy where you sit in the driver's seat, where you start telling life how it gets to respond to you. And you get to be that audacious. You get to be that audacious where you say, you know what? I'm in the driver's seat. I'm going to let my energy lead and I'm going to start telling life how it gets to respond to me. And yes, you are that powerful because you're no longer just reacting, you're creating. We are creators, right? We're here to create, we're here to co create with the world around us intentionally, soulfully, powerfully. You get to do that. So let's talk about like what gets in the way because there are things that get in the way. Fear, overthinking. This is a big one for me. Perfectionism. And if we're being real honest, I'm going to say also worry. We waste so much of our precious energy worrying about how it will be received, how you'll be received, worrying about getting it wrong, worrying about failing, looking foolish, embarrassing yourself, or doing too much. But in this episode, I want to offer you this. Worry is simply a misuse of your imagination. That's all it is. It is a misuse of your imagination. It is you compounding the feelings of worst case scenarios. It's putting your creative energy into fear instead of faith. So instead of overthinking, instead of letting fear get in the way, instead of perfectionism, instead of worrying, what if you got willing? Does that sound fun? Willing. Think about that. That the word willing, the energy behind that word is open. It's expansive. It's like yes energy. Yeah. So what if you got willing to play, willing to explore, willing to get curious about things, willing to be seen differently? Willing to do things that make your nervous system buzz because you know it's not what your old self would have chosen. Like this gets to be a game. That's how I see this sometimes. I'm like, you know what, Kendra, this gets to be a game. When normally you would react this way, let's do this. And let's see what happens. Normally you would show up and you would, before you get on a live video, you would sit and make some notes about like, oh, let me say this. I want to say this. You know what? Let's just hit go live and let's just talk from our heart and see what happens. Yeah. So let this be your invitation to have fun with this, to make unpredictability your actual superpower. You cannot become the woman that you're meant to be while clinging to the ways that you've always been. The version of you that is magnetic, that is powerful, that is fully expressed and well resourced, that version of you, she is not predictable. She moves with energy. She moves with presence, with a little bit of wildness and a whole lot of trust. She's not in her head. She is thinking less and moving more. And this is something I remember for a very long time. I had this tagline where I would say, I help women get out of their head and into action because I saw that in myself. Number one, I saw in myself that like I would get so far in my head about things that instead of me just taking the action, instead of me moving, I would just sit and ruminate on things in my head for like days at a time. Okay. And I recognize that in myself. And so I'm like, that. So first and foremost, I was like, okay, Kendra, let's see what would happen if we just stopped thinking so much and just took action. Let's just see. And so then I was like, yeah, this is what I want to help my clients with too, because the clients that would come to me and that were attracted to me would be those who were very heady, right? In their head, like, I'm not sure, they would try to make sense out of everything. There had to be like a logical rationale behind things, or there needed to be like this like step by step strategy. And getting out of your head and into action, it requires you to trust yourself a little more. It requires you to operate in the field of possibility. It requires you to just be in that energy of willingness and to say, okay, let's just see what happens, that energy of curiosity. So, the woman that you desire to become, she's not operating in this predictable energy that you've been in. Okay. This is the core of what I talk about and I work with women through in my breakthrough to becoming process, right? It's exactly also what we're playing with in my current 90 days of magnetic momentum. That's something that on July 1st, I started this movement and this journey and challenge for myself of 90 days of magnetic momentum. And this is the energy I'm playing with here. Like, okay, how can I be unpredictable today? What would that look like? So, like today, actually for the last few days, I've been giving myself space in my schedule to just not be so rigid in my schedule. So, I have just the other day, I got up like I normally did, and I worked for a couple of hours, and then I took a break. Me and my daughter went and got lunch together, and I ran a few errands. I went and dropped off dry cleaning, did a few things, spent some time with her. And then I came home after that. I was like, I had this energy to like, okay, let's go in my office and like do focus on some more things that I want to do in my business. And I did that, and I was so productive and amazing. Right? I gave myself permission to break up my day. I wasn't trying to stay stuck in that linear space of like, okay, I've got to work from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and have like an hour, lunch in between. I completely broke up my day, and I had like two like 3 to 4 hour um sprints that I did that day. Same thing with today. I got up this morning, I had a session with a client. We did a strategy session together, and then I took a class, went to my mastermind class, and then I did a couple other things, posted on socials, my Facebook and Instagram. And then actually, no, I didn't post. I actually did some planning around what I wanted to talk about is what I did. And I said, okay, I'm gonna leave it alone and I'll come back to it later. And so I left and went and met a friend for lunch. And so I get there and she's like, hey, she's like, I'm running a little bit late. She's like, I'm running like 30 minutes behind. I'm like, that's cool. So I sat in the car and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get on an Instagram reel and I'm gonna talk about what I want to talk about, right? And that's what I did. And did that, put it out there, and then did the same thing on Facebook. I went live on Facebook, and I was just talking about what I wanted to talk about, and posted that up, on my Facebook. And I was in my car, right? I wasn't like I was holding my phone, like it. I just let myself just flow, and it feels freeing and it feels good. So then I had lunch and had a margarita with my friend, had a good time, had good conversation, then came back home, and now here I am, like recording this podcast episode. So I'm like, I'm gonna record this podcast episode and, get that ready for publishing and that's my day. So it's like this feels so good to me because it's being in this energy of expansion, it's being in this energy of flow instead of thinking that, okay, if I just follow like a step by step, if I follow a rigid schedule, if, I close myself in my office and just like head down, that that's going to get the results. And while that has gotten me results in the past, that energy doesn't feel good to me anymore because there was no playfulness in it. And it was actually what I'm noticing more draining to my energy operating that way. Whereas this way, I allow myself to break up my day. I have a couple hour sprint where I do some work and then go do something fun, come back. So it's like, what would it look like? The energy I'm playing with, it's like, all right, what would it look like to just have more fun and more play in my business? And it's pretty cool. I'm like, wow, like okay, like I can be productive and I can get things done and still keep on track and like have all this fun like filtered and infused into my day. What? So anyway, we are And so that's what I'm playing with in my 90 days of magnetic momentum right now. And I've invited you to come along with me. So like I'm sharing like the behind the scenes. I'm talking about like what I'm doing. I'm talking about like any like rituals that I practice. I'm sharing that. I'm talking about my like how I'm creating content. I'm talking about like my launches. I have a couple of launches that'll be coming up this quarter. I'm sharing that, and I'm sharing it inside of my Facebook community, Soul Aligned Success. So if you want to join, and you want to, be a part of the magic, be a part of the journey, watch the unfolding, um, I'll leave the link for the community in the show notes and you can join us. But like, this is the energy that we're playing with, right? We're disrupting the ordinary. We're making moves that like surprise even us. It's like, whoa, like I did that. I let myself like go out and have a lunch date and have a margarita and then come back to work and do some things. What? We're becoming the woman that our future is already waiting for, right? Like there is that future version of you who I know that you see her in your mind. You see her there. You have a clear vision of what your future self looks like. She's waiting for you. She's waiting for you to get out of your head. She's waiting for you to operate in possibility instead of fear. She's waiting for you to let go of the perfection and just like move, right? So if you're ready to like walk this path with support, you're ready to break the rules that have been keeping you small, and you're ready to embody the woman who chooses herself, her vision, her voice, then I invite you on the journey. I invite you to join me inside. You can, again, follow along with my 90 days of magnetic momentum, or you can come along with me on my breakthrough to becoming journey, which is a 6-week private journey for the woman who's ready to rise. Like you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm ready to rise. I'm ready to step into my next level. I'm ready to break mold. I'm ready to like, you know, be unpredictable. Okay. So breakthrough to becoming is like part mindset, part magic, part identity revolution. Inside, we have 3 private sessions, just you and me. And then I'm supporting you with personalized EFT audios, hypnosis, and activation sessions, activation audios between sessions. So soulful, deep, and accelerated support to help you fully step into the next version of yourself, the version of you who is regulated, who is rich, who is radiant, who is just like infused with joy in your life and in your business. Okay. And we're not just talking about like becoming, we're talking about being it, being her now, being her now, bringing your future self into your present moment, because the only way that you can affect change to your future is by how you're showing up right now in the present moment. You can, visualization is great and I love it. And I do offer that as a tool, and I do create like beautiful audio visualizations for my clients. And those are great to like prime the mind, to prime the subconscious, right? To prime the energy. But then you've got to bring that energy in your present moment and move. Yeah. So if breakthrough to becoming sounds like something that you want to experience and you want that kind of support, you can DM me the word breakthrough on Instagram to learn more, or you can just check out the link in the show notes. All right. And I'll leave the link for my Facebook community too, if you want to be a part of the 90 days of magnetic momentum. All right. This summer is a summer of becoming. This is our sovereign summer. This is a summer of becoming. You're not meant to stay the same. And you know this in your heart and soul. You're not meant to stay the same. You're meant to evolve. You're meant to rise. You're meant to shift and expand into more of you. And sometimes the portal to that next level is a single, unexpected move. So go out there in the world, be unpredictable, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Soulful Success by Design. If you enjoyed our conversation and found value in it, please leave a rating and review on iTunes to help me continue bringing more inspiring content your way. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Soulful Success by Design, or visit my website at KendraKWoods.com for extra inspiration and resources. I appreciate you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. Until then, remember to create success from your soul and on your terms.